Gold is extremely undervalued at these prices, and it should be at least in the 6 figs. This is something that not a lot of people are talking about, but if you've been watching gold lately, you've probably felt it. This quiet, relentless bid that doesn't really care about the daily headlines. And what I want to lay out today is a possibility that almost nobody talks about openly. Not because it's impossible, but because it's uncomfortable. The idea is simple. What if gold isn't just rising because investors are nervous? What if gold is being treated globally like the financial reset valve? And what if one of the most hidden forces behind that is the math of US debt versus US gold? I'm not telling you this is guaranteed. I'm not giving you price projections. I'm laying out numbers and incentives and letting you draw your own conclusions. You can decide what to think, but let's start with the anchor point. How much gold does the United States actually and officially hold? The US Treasury's own gold report lists total US government gold reserves at about 261.5 million fine troy ounces. That's the official number. Now put that next to the debt. As of February 2026, the US gross national debt is reported about $38.5 trillion. Now, here's where the shunspiracy kind of comes in, but we're going to do it with clean math. Barney style. If you took that entire $38.56 trillion figure and you tried to cover it with those 261 million ounces, you'd be talking about roughly $147,000 per ounce. Let that sink in. It's not as a prediction, as a reference point for how out of balance the debt scale is relative to the gold scale. The gold stockpile, it's fixed. The debt number, it's not. It goes up every day. You can literally watch it on the US Debt Clock website. Now, here's where the plot thickens, because the US doesn't mark that gold to market on its books. The Treasury Gold Report shows the statutory book value is $42.22 per ounce. So officially, the US is sitting on a gold vault that the government accounting system treats like it's 1973. And I want you to think like a real strategist for a second. If you're running a debt-heavy empire and you want optionality, what asset do you want quietly rising over time? The one that strengthens the balance sheet, the one that's globally accepted, the one that is not somebody else's liability. That's gold. And this is where global behavior starts matching the incentives, because central banks have been acting like gold as a strategic reserve weapon, not a relic. The World Gold Council has been tracking this. They reported central banks adding 1,082 tons in 2022 and 1,037 tons in 2023. They did the same thing in 2024, and their full year 2025 report was 863 tons. This is not retail FOMO. It's official sector buying, quietly, steadily absorbing gold. Now, let's talk about specific countries, because this is where the de-dollarization hedge actually gets its narrative and it becomes more than a meme. India is a great example. World Gold Council reporting shows India's central bank bought about 72.6 tons in just 2024, and even though 2025 purchases slowed to a measly 4 tons, India's total holdings were still a record around 880.2 tons. It's not a country randomly stacking metal. That's a country building monetary resilience. Now, China? Reuters reported that as of January 2026, China's central bank holds were about 74.19 million fine troy ounces. Convert that to tons, and you're in the neighborhood of about 2,300 tons. And here's the key. According to that same Reuters reporting, China had been buying for 15 consecutive months as of January 2026. That's not noise, that's policy. Russia is another obvious one. On trading economics data sourced from the World Gold Council, Russia's gold reserves were about 2,326.5 tons in just Q4 of 2025. And the geopolitical motivation, it isn't speculation. Ever notice that these 3 countries are 3 of the BRICS nations, 3 of the 5? Pretty wild, huh? Reuters has reported that Russian officials explicitly linking global gold demand to the precedent of frozen reserves and sanctions risk. Translation: if your assets can be frozen, then holding reserves inside the dollar system is a vulnerability. Gold is harder to freeze. So let's zoom into Poland, because Poland is the tell that something is changing across Europe too. In January 2026, reporting out of Europe described Poland's central bank holding around 550 tons of gold by the end of 2025, starting to catch up with India and China, right? With gold approaching about 28% of their entire reserves. That is an aggressive posture, don't you think? That is a central bank that's acting like the world is entering a more fractured monetary era. Now, here's a smaller but very revealing comparison. Euronews noted Poland's gold holdings surpassed the ECB, the European Central Bank's gold reserves. So even inside the broader Western system, you have parts of Europe signaling, we want more real reserve assets. Now step back and connect the dots. The official sector is buying gold in historically large quantities. The debt load in the US is massive and still growing. And the US holds a fixed enormous pile of gold that is still carried at a statutory book price. So here's the core thesis, framed very carefully for this platform. A gold revaluation doesn't have to mean some dramatic announcement tomorrow. It can mean a slow, persistent repricing of gold's role in the reserve system, a creeping acknowledgement that gold is the neutral asset in a world where trust is collapsing. And that brings us to the part that is hardest to say out loud. If gold rises, that can actually be manageable for governments and central banks because gold is on their side of the ledger. They own it. They can point to it as a credibility. They can use it as collateral. They can use it as a confidence anchor. But if gold is the credibility anchor, then what is the pressure release? Debt. And this leads us to the uncomfortable possibility. When debt gets too large relative to the productive base, you either default outright or you default indirectly through currency debasement. And when countries fear debasement, they buy gold. That is not a conspiracy. That's a survival strategy. Even the European Central Bank has highlighted how official sector gold demand has stayed near record highs and has been influenced by geopolitical fragmentation and the shock of frozen reserves. So when I hear people say, there's no way gold can keep doing this, I don't think they're looking at what the central banks are signaling because the behavior says something else. The behavior says this. Gold is being accumulated as a hedge against a world where currencies are political tools. And now, let's bring it back to the US. If you're sitting on 261.5 million ounces of gold officially, and your debt is 38.56 trillion, and the world is buying gold at near record pace, then even without a formal reset, gold becomes the asset with the cleanest pathway upward in terms of global incentives. Not because everyone loves gold, but because gold is rising. That's why you hear whispers about revaluation math. That's why you see so much attention on central bank purchases right now. And that's why I'm watching gold, not only as a trade, but as a signal. Again, no price targets here. I'm just saying, when you do the math of debt versus gold reserves, you can see why the number exists in the conversation at all. China accumulating, India accumulating, Russia holding, BRICS nations. Poland is sprinting, and the official sector globally is buying hundreds and hundreds of tons per year. So here's the question that I'll leave you with. If the next decade is about de-risking, de-dollarizing at the margins, and preparing for a more fractured global order, what assets do central banks want more of? They're already telling you. And if gold is being positioned as the ultimate reserve backstop, then the repricing event might not look like a single headline. It may look exactly like what we're watching right now. And if you think that's impossible, just remember, the most important moves in finance are usually made quietly by people who don't need your permission in rooms that you'll never be a part of. And if you want to know what's going on in those rooms, click the first link in the description. I will send you a video that tells you all of that. And I promise you, if you click that link and watch that, it'll open your eyes and you'll be glad that you did.